Welcome to part 6 of the Becoming a Leader series.
Here's a thought. Let's go ahead and review these things because this might help them sink in after you've had a chance to think about them quite a bit. What was the first one? Hard work. Now, it kind of makes sense once you've got the perspective of all of this stuff. The idea is to get you into the mindset of the big hitters. You know, people who are doing the things that are causing themselves to move up. And once you get inside their mind, you realize their eye is on the prize. And everything falls in line. Everything kind of takes shape from that. That's why it's so important to be going after the thing that'll be the biggest motivator for you, because that's going to trigger the intensity, the commitment, the hard work, the efficiency, you being at your best, the highest percentage of time meeting obstacles because you're going for something huge. And so that's why their hard work is different than yours. The second thing is the motivation. You know, when you're going for something that's going to pay tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, with a shot at millions, obviously your motivation is going to be a lot different than if you're just going to be getting minimum wage. So again, the motivation follows what you're pursuing. And this is what comes from inside. You can't fake it. You can't ask somebody who's really not going for anything big. They don't even have the potential of it working out for them to have the same motivation as, say, the president and founder of Apple Computer. Of course, Steve Jobs. Of course, Bill Gates. Of course, Mark Zuckerberg worked like dogs and had incredible motivation. It's because they had a chance of a big payoff. And then once you're thinking of getting big, of course, another thing falls in line, that you've got to have lots of people. So they have a multiplication picture in their mind, because there's putting things in place that they know if they're going to get where they want to go, they're going to have lots of people. So they have, at all times, they're operating off of that multiplication picture in terms of what they do. What does it lead to? The systems that they're putting in place. Is that going to allow them to get big, or is that going to be limiting the potential of the people that they are bringing on board and how they train them? It's all geared to the multiplication picture they have inside their head. Now, 4, here we have how their internal drive. When you look at people that are going and moving up to the top, they have a different motor about them. They have a different intensity and drive. And what is that unseen? Where does this unseen drive come from? Well, it comes from them being motivated off of attitude and momentum. They work to keep themselves excited in their best frame of mind because they know everyone else's attitude and excitement level is going to key off of theirs, and they know this is going to be the thing that leads to momentum. And momentum is like a wave, the force of a wave going towards shore. If you're out in the ocean, you could swim in by yourself. However, if you can catch a wave, you can multiply your activity. That's what momentum does. It gives you the chance to multiply your activity. Puts a multiplication factor on there. Now, what that does is allow you to get, if you got your eye on the prize of moving up here, that allows it to happen much faster. So that's why when you're running an organization, if you want to separate, you got to first separate yourself with your attitude. The attitude of the leader is the first thing that separates growing companies, growing organizations, improving groups from everything, all the others, because that's what feeds into the mindset of the people on the team and drives the activity, which after a period of time creates momentum. Then you get a multiplier effect. Then people that are going through the motions look at them and say, wow, these are just people from another planet. How can I compete with them? Well, first of all, you got to get yourself turned on, excited. You got to throw yourself into your work and start getting some momentum and start getting some compounding. They're already into that game of they're compounding away from you, and you're just getting started and concentrating on nickels and dimes. And see, they're not doing, they're overdoing it because the payoff is so incredible. They're pushing themselves to see how much more energy and effort they can throw into it because of the payoff. Now, 5, setting themselves up for success. With everything they do, they're looking down the road and seeing how can we improve. They're always thinking of how to improve the odds with the people, the procedures, the processes, always trying to improve persistencies, always working on doing things now, constantly adjusting. Why? Because success is never guaranteed, but you can improve the odds. And somebody may luck up and win. In life, the race, as it says in the Bible, the race doesn't always go to the fastest, and the strongest army doesn't always win, but usually the odds are in your favor that that's going to work out. Unless God steps in and overrules, like Junior, that great NASCAR founding person, Junior Johnson, became quite a philosopher. He said, sooner or later, them cubic inches take over. In other words, sooner or later, if you got a bigger engine than the other guy, you're going to win. And if you've got much better odds because you have worked to get better odds, to design your program, your people, everything, well, obviously, you're going to wind up winning more than the people that are sloppy and just go through the motions. They work in hope. You're doing it at another level. All right, let's just see what the next one is. 6. Okay. They go with what works. They copy winners 90% of the time, and they experiment 10%. They take a little risk, take a chance, take an exception, just to hit a long shot, something that could have a bigger return, but also something that could change the dynamic and improve the overall thing of their team. And so 90% of the time, they're not playing and challenging what works. They're staying with what works. And there's a lot of aspects to that. We won't get into it now. Let's talk about number 7. 7 is this goes back to number 1, like we said. They don't work. They don't judge their people by working. Everybody's expected to work. If anybody ever comes up to you and brags, I'm a hard worker, I've been working hard, you know what that tells you? They're going through the motions. They're not really giving it everything they've got, because people who give it everything they got don't work, they race. Everything's a game. They've got their adrenaline up, their excitement up, and whatever's in front of them to do, they plow through it. I mean, they roll through it and on to the next one. They want to get it done. The person who's not wired up like that is just thinking about what they've got in front of them, what they've got to do, and they're just like a cow eating grass, looking at the ground. They're not looking up like a horse is always looking forward. Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? The top leaders are looking forward. They're racing through stuff. They're not just have their head down, focusing on whatever task it is in front of them, and in no particular hurry to get it done. All right, 8, the secret. One of the secret is how they see themselves. How do you see yourself? See, the top people see themselves as a championship coach, someone who can take the team and lead them to victory. They see themselves as the kind of person who can take their team and beat you and your team, and at the end of the season, they could swap teams with you and go out there next year with your team and beat you where you already had their championship team to coach. They're the ones who can trigger greatness inside of people. And it has to do with the program they run, the facilities, the words out of their mouth, the presentations, the thing they teach, how they teach. Everything is triggered off of how they see themselves and how they want to represent themselves to the people underneath them. Let's get down to 9. Number 9 is they make it their business to know every key person on their team, everyone's personal crusade. What's important to them? What gets them out of bed early in the morning? What will cause them to work late at night? How do they want? In other words, how do they want, ultimately, if you win the championship, if you have growth, if you reach the peak, you do the great things you've lined out in front, how will this pay off for your key people? And you want them to know why you're driven, because what you're going for, it'll pay off for you. But you want to know that this will pay off in a way that will help them realize and get them closer to, at least, their biggest personal goals they have in their life. That way, you're operating in sync with passion. You're not just working together and going through the motions and we tolerate each other. No, you're running wide open together, because the importance of that is when you're running wide open in a race. They just had a special on ESPN 30/30 about Mary Decker and getting knocked out in the Olympics in, 90-something. Zola Budd, the little runner from South Africa, elbowed it or something, right? 2 laps from the finish. And Mary Decker, she'd been knocked out, had fluky things. She was a world champion, had all the world records, but she never could win an Olympic gold. This was her last chance. She had like 1 or 2 more laps to go, and then bam, she gets hit by an elbow or get caught up in the feet of the person next to her, bam, she's down. Olympic hopes gone. Well, when you're in a race, you're moving fast, giving everything you got with a pack of people working together. Elbows are flying. Legs are flying, feet are flying. I mean, sometimes you offend each other. Sometimes you step in other people's way. You create problems. You inadvertently get people to where they want to do something to you. Everybody's in it for a big purpose, and the payoff, you cut each other some more slack. It's all right. We're after something big. I had a special on about the war, and somebody was saying they were working on Sunday. The guy said, we're going to work on Sunday. He said, hey, we're at war. And once he said that, it's like, oh, I get it. That's why we're doing it. So when you have the right motivation, people will put in the extra effort. They'll put up with some rough times and rocky roads and rocky experiences because they know ultimately the payoff is going to be so huge. These little things that happen, little disputes, little unpleasantness that happen are just pale in comparison. Number 10, they are focused on the number one fact of being a leader. And what is that fact? Number one fact of leadership, nothing, I don't think I said this exactly right on the tape, nothing good happens with a team unless the leader makes it happen. Because the only thing that happens naturally in life is failure, disappointment, coming up short, almost doing it. That's why the world is full of people who almost do it. And in a world full of people who almost do it, you unify them behind a leader who can actually make things happen, who can be the difference, the person who provides the difference, the spark, and you can take a huge group of people who just could not pull things together on their own, but they're really quality people, hardworking. You put them in a team led by a can-do leader, and all of a sudden they become champions. And folks, the world needs that to be you. We got average people. We got ordinary people. We got mediocre leaders. The world needs, in every area of life, great leaders to get things done, provide hope, inspiration, make a difference, change lives, inspire the next generation. That needs to be you. That's why we took a look at all this stuff.